fast, in addition to 40,000 detainees.
40,000? Namaste, welcome to my channel, welcome to Thinking Nash, channel where we talk and react things related to India. Thank you so much for passing by one more day. You know, mi casa is tu casa, guys. And today we have the video, The Africans Who Built an Empire in India. So, I didn't know anything about this, but this video was requested by Matthew in Patreon. Thank you so much, Matthew, for your request, and you big kiss to you. And let's watch this video together. Let's learn a little bit more about this empire in India built by Africans, and let's know a little bit more about history. So let's watch it together and then we talk about this. Don't forget to follow me here on my social media.
Home Team here, and I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. There is no doubt in my mind that because of Malik Ambar's humble beginnings, being enslaved, his accomplishments after this tragedy makes him one of the greatest human beings in world history. And as always, if you want to support the home team, you can do so on patreon.com. I have some new rewards for you guys, so be sure to check that out. Also, go to afrographics.com, a website where you can find unique illustrative infographics summarizing African history. All links to Patreon, Afrographics, and home team merchandise are in the description box below. To truly appreciate Malik Ambar, we must first understand the context of Malik's history, his origin, and his journey from enslavement to highly respected prime minister. When Malik finally ended up in India, much of his activity and rule was in the Deccan region, where he was the prime minister and military commander of the Nazim Shahi kingdom, Ahmednagar being its capital city and the place of origin for the Ahmednagar Sultanate, which was right in the center of India for the most part. His legacy involves successful conflict with the Mughals, excellent administrative acumen, and many other things. So how does his exceptional story begin? Malik Ambar, as mentioned before, had a very rough start. His story is a perfect example of starting from the very bottom. His original name was Shambu, and he was born in the year 1550 in Harar, Ethiopia. He was sold by his own parents into slavery and was taken to Baghdad, where Khawaja Baghdad or Qazi Mir purchased him. He's recognized as being of the Sidi or Habashi population in India, as they're descended from East African merchants, sailors, slaves, and mercenaries. As an enslaved African, his master was apparently kind and treated young Shambu, whom he renamed Ambar, like one of his own children. Under his tutelage, Ambar received his education in Arabic lore and literature. He took the boy to India and sold him to Malik Dabir, better known as Shangaz Khan, also an African, the famous minister of Murtaza Nazim Shah. After the chaos of the Mughal invasion and control of Ahmednagar, the seat of power of the Nazim Shahi dynasty,
they use many words
people,
that
although
are complicated,
scattered, tried to form a national resistance. The Nazim Shahi kingdom was not completely subject to the Mughals, but they were under tremendous pressure. It was during this chaos that Malik was able to pull from the resources of his former master, who had a position in the Nazim Shahi army, and start his own independent army of 1,500 cavalrymen and infantrymen, all of whom joined the movement to expel the Mughals from the Deccan region. Malik accepted an invitation from Abhan Khan to join ranks and was made commander. This is where Shambu received the title Malik, and why he is known today as Malik Ambar. This was merely the beginning of Malik's impressive legacy. During the siege of the fort of Ahmednagar by Abhan Khan, Malik Ambar displayed, and I quote, conspicuous gallantry by cutting off the supplies of the Mughals and intercepting their lines of communication. At one time, he got entry into the fort and seemed to be on the point of capturing it, but unfortunately he was thrown out as he was not adequately supported. Shortly afterwards, the Mughal forces appeared before Ahmednagar and began the siege of the fort in 1595. Abhan Khan now agreed to join hands with Chand Bibi the Sultan to fight the Mughals. In the attack on Ahmednagar, Malik Ambar also went with him and fought very well. But during the confusion that followed, He left the fort, and after the conclusion of peace in 1596, he opted to choose a different line of action. Ambar, with an armed party, frequently moved throughout the Mughal frontiers, punished highwaymen and thieves, and they eventually agreed to follow him, and thus nearly 2,000 or 3,000 men gathered under his banner. The Mughals conquered the fort of Abhinagar in 1600, and it seemed that the Mughal army would capture the whole of Nazim Shahi kingdom. But at this crucial juncture, Malik Ambar, Raju, and a few other nobles united to prevent further encroachment of the imperial forces in the Nazim Shahi kingdom. First and foremost, with the meager resources at his command and the small area under his control, Malik Ambar was astute enough to realize the need for a unifying symbol. So he sought a prince of the Nazim Shahi dynasty to place over his head as master so that the populace might agree to obey him. Malik Ambar wrote to Burhan Nazim Shahi's grandson, Prince Ali, who was living in the fort of Parenda, inviting him, but he did not trust Ambar. To inspire confidence, Malik Ambar offered his daughter to him. Prince Ali came to Bajupur and the marriage was celebrated. He was made king with the title of Murtaza Nazim Shah II in 1600. Malik Ambar became his Wakil-u-Sultanate, or prime minister, and Parenda was made the temporary capital. Many rebels became obedient to him, including troops of Raju. Upon his position as prime minister, it's very important to note the significant social and political changes that Malik brought to India, specifically the Nazim Shahi kingdom. Under his power and influence, the revitalized Nazim Shahi kingdom had acquired a distinctly African character. As prime minister, Ambar himself held undisputed control over the kingdom's military and civil affairs, and his daughter had been assimilated into the Nazim Shahi royal household for 20 years. His family had also merged with the African component of the ruling class of neighboring Bajapur. In 1609, with a view of shoring up relations with this powerful sultanate to the south while taking on the Mughals in the north, Ambar had married off his son, Fath Khan, to the daughter of Yaqut Khan, a free African and one of Bajapur's most powerful nobles. Here we see networks of free Ethiopians engaging in interstate marital relations at a level immediately below that of the dynastic houses. Now, by this time, entire armies of African warriors were fighting for the revitalized kingdom of Ahmednagar. The English merchant William Finch, who happened to be in the region in February 1610, reported that Malik Ambar's army consisted of 10,000 men of his own caste, in addition to 40,000 Decanis.
40,000?
In engagement with the Mughals 6 years later, he is said to have brought to the field 10,000 African youths, aged 17 or 18, mounted on Persian horses. This suggests a pattern of Ethiopians entering India in considerable numbers as military soldiers. Malik Ambar's African dynasty, if you will, continued to put massive amounts of pressure on the Mughals, and he defeated the Mughals in battle, making extensive conquests in the region. The Mughals began advancing again and brought some defeats to Malik and his men. This compelled Malik to advance a slightly different strategy and use his political acumen to keep the Mughals at bay, which he was able to do with impressive diplomatic skill. Malik Ambar's influence on India was far-reaching, as his reforms in revenue and military administration was adopted by other Indian kingdoms. He founded new cities in India and is even considered a pioneer in guerrilla warfare for that region. What's impressive about Malik is that despite his humble beginnings, he seemed to never forget who he was, as he elevated other Africans in the region, creating a sort of semblance of an African ruling lineage in India.
I didn't even have an idea about this.
Important to diaspora history and a testament to African excellence. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help out in its continued production, you can do so on Patreon.
You have a very mellow voice.
Is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
I don't know, like, the information was very interesting. Just I think so the voice of the person that was narrating the story is too mellow for my liking, you know? was like, ooh. But it's interesting to see this part of the story. Maybe many of you know about this, maybe many of you didn't. Me, of course, I didn't know about it, but it's interesting, you know, to see how many years ago, like how was this kind of a struggle for fight, power and all that between countries, like was more kind of, still wasn't too many rules about like we know it right now. And it's very, very interesting how all these situations, it brings us to the point that we are right now, you know, because even if you remove this part from the Indian history, even if you know whether or not it happened, at the end of the day, it has a contribution for what is happening right now in the planet, you know. It's like the butterfly effect, you know. I don't know if you know about the butterfly effect. Then even the smallest flight of a butterfly in the other part of the world can cause a hurricane in the other side. So it's really, really interesting. I love all this kind of butterfly effects, and it's really interesting to see how as well Africans were involved in this part of Indian history. At the same time, just will be interesting to analyze what that empire of Africans caused in the actuality right now in India. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Matthew, for suggesting this video and giving me a little bit more knowledge about this. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow with another video. Have an amazing day. Big kiss to all of you. Don't forget to follow me here for my social medias. Thank you so much for all the patrons for your support. Thank you so much for all of you to watching me. And if you want to subscribe, just go to there where it says subscribe. Thank you.